It was a chilly autumn day, and Oliver the puppy sat by the big window in his cozy house. Outside, the wind was howling through the trees, and colorful leaves were flying all around. Orange, yellow, and red leaves danced in the air before they finally tumbled to the ground. Oliver loved watching the leaves swirl in the wind, but he wished he could go outside and play. Suddenly, the wind slowed down, and the sun peeked through the clouds, shining warmly on the yard. The leaves stopped flying, and everything looked peaceful again. Excited, Oliver trotted over to his owner, Lim, who was reading a book by the fire. "Can I go outside now, Lim?" Oliver asked with a wag of his tail. Lim smiled and patted Oliver on the head. "Yes, Oliver, you can go play. But be careful. The wind was strong, and some things might have fallen in the yard." Oliver barked happily and rushed to the door. He grabbed his favorite red ball from the basket by the porch and darted outside into the cool, crisp air. He loved how the wind tickled his fur and how the fresh smell of the leaves filled his nose. The ball high into the air with his snout, watching it bounce and roll across the yard. It rolled toward the big oak tree in the corner of the garden, stopping near a pile of fallen leaves. Oliver ran after it, but when he reached the tree and nudged the leaves aside to get his ball, he was in for a surprise. There, huddled beneath the pile of leaves, was a tiny, shivering squirrel. The little squirrel looked frightened, its small paws trembling as it tried to curl into a ball for warmth. "Oh no," thought Oliver. "This poor squirrel must have been blown down by the wind. It looks so cold and scared." Oliver gently sniffed the little squirrel, who looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. "Don't worry, little squirrel," Oliver said softly. "I'll help you, but what should I do?" he wondered. Oliver carefully scooped up the tiny squirrel with his paw and held it close to his chest to keep it warm. "I'll take you to Lim. She'll know how to help," he decided. The little squirrel didn't struggle. It seemed to sense that Oliver meant no harm. Oliver hurried back to the house, the cool breeze ruffling his fur as he carried the squirrel safely. Inside, Lim was still sitting by the fire. Oliver nudged her gently, showing her the shivering squirrel in his paws. "Lim, look. I found this little squirrel outside under the tree. I think it needs help." Lim's eyes widened as she saw the tiny squirrel. She carefully took it from Oliver and wrapped it in a soft blanket. "Oh, Oliver, you're such a good boy for bringing this little one inside," she said. "The poor thing must have fallen from its nest during the windy storm." The little squirrel blinked up at Lim, still shivering a bit but no longer as scared. It made a soft chirping noise, snuggling into the warmth of the blanket. "I think the squirrel is just cold," said Lim. "Let's warm it up by the fire for a little while." Oliver sat beside the fire, watching as the squirrel began to relax, its shivering slowly stopping. The warmth made the little creature feel better, and soon it chirped happily, looking much healthier. "Can I keep the little squirrel as my friend?" Oliver asked, wagging his tail hopefully. Lim smiled but shook her head gently. "No, Oliver, the squirrel has its own family. It belongs in the forest, with its mother and the other squirrels. We'll need to take it back outside soon." Just then, they both heard a soft chittering sound from outside the window. Oliver jumped up to look out and saw another squirrel hopping from branch to branch in the oak tree, looking around anxiously. "That must be the squirrel's mother," Oliver exclaimed. "She's looking for her baby." Lim stood up and smiled. "Let's take the little squirrel back to its tree so it can be with its family again." Together, Oliver and Lim carried the now happy squirrel outside. Lim gently placed it at the base of the oak tree, where it quickly scampered up the trunk. The mother squirrel was waiting up in the branches, and as soon as the baby squirrel reached her, they cuddled together. Oliver watched from below, his heart swelling with happiness. "Look, the little squirrel is back with its family," he barked excitedly. The baby squirrel chirped down to Oliver, as if to say, "Thank you." And Oliver wagged his tail proudly. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange, Oliver and Lim walked back inside the house. Oliver felt warm and happy inside, knowing that he had helped the little squirrel find its way home. That night, as Oliver curled up in his bed by the fire, he thought about the baby squirrel and how happy it must be to be safe with its family again. With a content sigh, he closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, dreaming of more adventures to come.